All right, so best session so far? Anything? Throw stuff out at me?
This one, right?
This one? Well, I mean, that's going to be the best session of the day after you leave. So far. Rick Dragon, exciting? Rick Dragon? What did Rick talk about today? I don't know if he just kind of
social marketing, basically, and getting other people to help you spread your message.
Yeah, okay, so some of the social kind of strategic and some of the tactical stuff.
Social marketology.
Ooh, marketology.
He used fancy words. He made it.
Cool. Anything else exciting going on?
LinkedIn session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm David Horn, and hopefully, one of our slides get all. Yep. So, you guys are getting. Well, I call it Keystone or whatever that is, but I don't know how to like zoom out. The aperture, like
Can you exit out of Keynote real quick and then go back to your your startup page or your is that your page page?
It's a weird shaped screen. Well, I mean, it's a dual screen.
There you go.
So it's doing it like that.
Oh.
But it shouldn't matter. Play full screen. So it's just projections.
Yeah. Well, Amanda was having a similar issue.
Yeah, she did.
She went into her top bar on her 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 desktop.
Yes.
There we go. Well. When you hook up a Mac to those projectors, though, it changes the format of your.
Yeah.
There. I like it.
No, cool. I'm
As you go into here in this view.
Well, if y'all are cool, if y'all are cool with the slides, maybe looking on, we can talk to it. Really, I don't necessarily have to have the slides. People expect slides, and really, you should be able to present without slides. But anyway, so real quick, so I'm David Ward. I'm from High Point, North Carolina, so a little ways away. And that's where you can find me. I have a company, Magnetic Ideas. We're a digital marketing firm, so we do anything in web content, social search, design, apps, anything web marketing related, from strategic to tactical stuff. Enough of my commercial. And so today, what I think on the program, it has the four-legged social chair. I'm not sure where that came from. That might have been a conversation at some point. I'm actually going to talk about nuclear cold fusion. That's cool. So no, I'm going to talk about web, social, search, mobile. But the chair analogy, I'm going with the diet analogy. So I'm going to go with that instead. Now I have an amazing, just really well laid out planned presentation, but it's getting late in the day. You are probably mentally fatigued, and so we can go off book and just chat and answer questions or do anything like that at any time. Okay, so I'm going to kind of keep going, but at any point, if we want to, just have a conversation for the next half hour or whatever, then I'm cool with that. But I do have some stuff to kind of talk about. Is that cool with everyone? All right. So my clicker doesn't work. So goals. Anyone? I mean, what kind of brought you to the conference today? What were you looking to get
brought me here, but also in a lot of community organizations.
Okay.
And we center marketing in those organizations.
Okay, cool. Anything like when you were reading this topic that kind of resonated with you? That
Well,
you were interested in?
I just bringing it all together. 'Cause
How
it seems a
how
bit
it has
overwhelming,
yes.
all
Okay.
the different pieces, so
Cool.
I was interested to see how it all comes together.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? Anything else?
The mobile aspect caught my eye, because I
Mobile
know that
aspect.
that's how most people are getting their, that's how they're interacting with
Right.
marketing, is mobile.
Right.
So finding ways to make that, accessible, but making it easy for my small department of 3 people to
Okay.
bring that to the world.
Cool. So that's kind of, that's a great one. So with any of these things, I'm going to talk a little bit about all of them, but very general, because I don't know all of your individual businesses. I'm not going to pretend to be up here and give you a cookie cutter answer for everything. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go high level, and then at the end we'll kind of wrap it up, and then we'll handle anything specific that you want to talk about tactically, or examples, or ideas, or anything like that. Is that cool? All right. So, diet's really big these days, because, it never has been until recently. But you've got, paleo and gluten-free, and my business partner is celiac, so, it's gluten-free all the time. But we were taught very young to have this balanced diet, vegetables and fruits and greens and grains and dairy and all these nuts and berries and twigs and all that type of stuff, which is true. I mean, we need to have a good balanced diet. Now, what the health folks put out there like 30 years ago, we're now understanding that food pyramid's a bit flawed and there's different things. And I think that marketing is the same way as kind of your diet, in the fact that yes, there's all these different things in food groups, if you will, or groups that have different nutrients, but what you need may be a little bit different. So here's the story. So my wife and I found this company where you take like a DNA swab and you send it in, and they take your DNA, and with the analysis plus all these studies they've done, they come back with you with kind of how your body metabolizes food and processes all the things. It burns calories, and there's these different categories. You're either a fat burner, a carb reducer, or a better balancer. So if your DNA shows that you would do better having a healthier lifestyle by having a balanced diet, then you're encouraged to eat, more of a blend of all these things. If your DNA says that you're better at carb reducer, then you try to minimize carbs, and the paleo and all that type of stuff might be best for long-term health and all. And then if you're a fat burner, then you look at lower fats and that kind of thing. There's also like how your body metabolizes that, whether you're like a high intensity exercise person, where you need to do like short, intense bursts of exercise, or you're more of a kind of slow and steady, walk around the block type person. So digital marketing is kind of like that, in the fact that there's kind of several groups. And so we're going to talk about kind of 4 main groups or food groups today in the digital marketing world. So we're going to talk about search, we're going to talk about social, we're going to talk about mobile, we're going to talk about content. So, when you eat something, it's the nutrients that you're getting out of that. So each of these, for your business, offers specific things that will help your brand or your company or your product or service stay healthy. And so that's really where this is coming from, is the fact that in digital marketing, it's a blend of these, and it's the combination of these that produces a healthy digital marketing engine, or healthy digital marketing effort. So, and the reason this is because now these are all interdependent of each other. So, search, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but search is tied to social more than it ever was, and social is tied to content, and mobile, as you said, what's your name? Sarah. Mobile, as you said, is kind of how we're consuming all of these things now, and so they all play a role. So we'll talk about SEO first, and that is, everyone know SEO stands for search engine optimization, and there's two types of search. There's paid search and there's organic search. So search engine optimization deals more with the organic or like Wikipedia or whatever. It's free traffic, but anyone who's done any SEO work knows there's a lot of costs in there, whether because you have to pay someone or technology. So we're not going to talk about paid, really. We can later, and I'll handle any of those questions. But I'm going to specifically talk about how search kind of plays into the digital marketing diet here. So, quick stat. So, 92% of people on the internet search for stuff. It's usually it's either number one or number two, depending on what day or month of internet activity. So, of all the things on the internet that you can do, search and email are the top two things that are being done by everyone. So that's important because that is still predominantly how people find you or investigate. So let's talk about kind of the hows of search. So three areas, and we'll simplify it again, but I think if you leave today with kind of these overarching things, you're going to be in a good place. But so first is research. So anytime you're working on SEO, you want to do some research, or if you're getting started with SEO, the first thing is to research things. So think about your companies right now, and if you were going to start doing some search work, you would start writing down what are some of the queries, what would people be searching for to find my company, brand, or industry. So you'd write down as many of those things as you can think of. Okay, and then you would also write down any of the keywords that people might be searching for. So you're going to look at the keywords. You're going to look at queries. You're going to look at your competitors. Kind of what are they? Kind of what type of content and what when you search for things, when do your competitors come up versus when you come up, and those type of things. So you can start to get an idea of how would people find me if they were looking for me, or how would people find me if they were looking for insert my product or service or company there. Does that make sense? So you're going to start with research, and then that starts to help you kind of paint the picture of kind of what it looks like on the web. Then you're going to work on kind of your on-site factors. And so the two components of search engine optimization are on-site and off-site. So on-site is anything that is on your website or deals with your website. So if you haven't, one of the first things you would do from a search engine optimization standpoint is you would install like Google Analytics or some analytics software so you can start tracking what people are doing on your site. Everyone heard of Google Analytics or Analytics? Okay. It's anyone that's in the kind of the web role or might get those reports. Does anyone get those, or have they seen them? Has anyone ever looked at Google Analytics? Okay. What type of stuff do you look at?
Total hits, where they're coming from, various.
Mm-hmm. Organic. Do you have any key performance things that you're looking at for y'all personally?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So you would install Google Analytics and I would let it run for a couple weeks before you ever start trying to break numbers down and try to figure out a bunch of data, because it needs some time to populate data for people to interact with your site and that type of thing. The other thing you're going to look at on site-wise is your design. And folks, I think especially on the technical side, forget how important the design is to your website, because when people come to your site, one of the factors that search uses to tell whether your site has quality content or not is how people interact with it. And if they come to it and it's designed in a way where it's confusing or it's super, the images are so big and it loads really slowly, some of that's design, some of that's development, but a lot of times then people aren't going to stay on your site, and when they don't stay on your site, search engines see that as, well, this site must not be very high quality for what they're trying to rank for. Therefore, we're not going to show this website to people when they search for these terms. So design is a huge part into this. Related to that is browser capabilities. And a lot of times when folks are doing search optimization, they don't take into account what your site looks like across different browsers. Now, I could get developers in here, and they would gladly complain to you for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on the lack of standards in web browsers, because Chrome and Safari and Internet Explorer and Firefox and Opera and who knows how many browsers there are, but those are kind of the main ones. Websites always look a little bit different depending on what browser you use. Now, Chrome claims they have the market share now on what browsers use, and that's a Google product. And the problem with Chrome is it's a little bit too intuitive. So whereas some of the older browsers don't know how to interpret certain things on the website, like the coding and all that type of CSS and all the stuff that we don't really care about. But it's important because Chrome kind of sees that stuff and it's able to be intuitive enough to render it, if that makes sense. Where some of the older browsers, they see something and if they don't recognize it, they're like, we don't know what this is, so we're going to put an X in the image thing there, or we're going to have something wonky show up. What browsers everyone use? Chrome.
Firefox.
Firefox.
Chrome.
Safari. Cool. So good. No IE folks on here. I'm just kidding. IE is good. It's so that's the other
It's
stuff.
good though, right?
Huh?
It's good though.
It's good because everyone uses it. A lot of people use it. It's just that people tend to not update it, and so if you're running like IE 8, Internet Explorer 8, or something like that, I mean, Windows doesn't even, or Microsoft doesn't even support it anymore. So it's frustrating on a web standpoint because you're being asked to keep something maintained if you don't want it to maintain. So, okay, the last thing on the one-site stuff, and then we'll move on, is the code itself. So you want to look and see if your site has, well, first of all, you want to make sure your home page is optimized. I mean, that's kind of your biggest one. But then on the code side, you want to look at your title tag and your H1 tags, and then your text needs to have, keyword density and be optimized in the keywords that you're searching for. So you don't need to know how to do that. You just want to know that your website, if you checked it against, tools, there's plenty of tools to do this, to make sure that it has title tag, H1 tags, that your text, the copy, the content on your pages has the keywords that you're trying to rank for. If you have a lot of images on your site, you want to make sure that they have alt text. Does everyone know, or anyone familiar with that? Alt text? Okay, so an image on a search engines are, it's computers that look at your website and then their algorithms tell you that those sites are good and those sites aren't. Well, search engines don't see images. So if you have an image, it can't read it. So that looks like a big block of nothing to the search engine. So what you can do is you can put alt text, which tells the search engine what that image is. So restaurant industry, photography is important to have good photography food. So you want to make sure that the photography on the site has alt text telling search engines that this is, an Applebee's signature dish, and that dish is chicken with such and such and such and such. And so just a rule of thumb, if you're doing this yourself, is that write the alt text descriptions for your images as if you were explaining them to a blind person. Because that's what alt text is designed for, is for visually impaired. And so that's how search engines look at it. Okay? And then the last thing,
I'm sorry, is that just for web pages or is that for blogs and everything across the web?
any published web, anytime you use an image on the web, It has to have alt text.
So any web content will.
Yeah, correct.
I've seen that done, I knew why it was there.
Yeah. So you'll want to go back through and because you can put keywords and your language in those descriptions. And then the last thing is just more of a local note. If you have like a geolocal or like a hyperlocal focused website, I would encourage you to put your company's name, address, phone number on every page of your site so that Google can index that, or Bing, Yahoo, so that it can serve up those local results. Now, I'm not a programmer, but I think a lot of times you see that in the footer, because if you code it in the footer, it will show up on every page instead of having like find a place to put it. So hopefully your designers and developers take care of that. Okay, so that's on-site SEO. The third part is off-site SEO, and this takes a while, but this is where your link building comes in. So the other factor that Google, Bing, Yahoo all look at to say, this is a good website, and we want to, you're searching for, cats with patches on their eyes and pirate costumes, then Google will serve up sites that have people linking to that site, and that's because that shows authority. You maybe hear that in the web world, and so you're going to start building links, and it's a long process. In the fact that through creating valuable content and sharing valuable content, people will start going back to your site. As that happens, then that will optimize your site as well. The kind of the new factor in that is social sharing. The more people share your content on social networks, that is now increasingly more weighted in the algorithms that the search engines use to say that this site is good and this site is good. Okay? All right, social media. It's the next one. Everyone here on the social network, what's your favorite ones? Facebook? Twitter? Yelp? Anyone using Instagram? That's my favorite currently. I'm using Instagram. Google Plus, not so much. So social media, since y'all have social networks, you pretty much know what it is. But when you think about it, it's kind of one of the first ways that there's two-way communication between brands and peers and all on the web. It's just a lot simpler. Traditional business communications is all one way. That's where you have advertising and things like that. Where social media has that two-way communication. Social stat for you. Last year, Americans? Just kidding. So Americans said that social networks influenced, 64% of social networks influenced their buying decisions. Now I tell you this because last year it was only 30%. So it's doubled in a year as far as social media influencing purchasing decisions. And I think that that number will continue to go up. Social media has a different role in this process, and I think that we're figuring out over time that influence is the right word. I mean, it's not rare, but it's less likely that social media is directly responsible for a business purchase, but it is definitely usually involved in the purchase decision. So if you think about basketball or hockey or something, soccer like that, most of the time the person doesn't dribble the ball all the way down and score. There's someone that has assisted him. Social media is really good at assisting. All right, so some how-tos. So social to me and being good at it is really simple as three things. So first is listening. One of the powers of social media is using it as a listening channel. And things you like to listen for, obviously brand mentions and industry keywords and competitors and things like that. But just keeping a pulse on your industry, and then also, from a market research standpoint, you can find out a lot of what your audience wants by what they talk about. So listening is huge. It's huge there. Second part is, obviously sharing. You're going to want to, social is not just a publishing platform, so definitely if you create something, you can use social to distribute it and share it, but also, share other folks' stuff. Because what that does is it builds trust, and, one thing we tell our clients all the time is trust is at the heart of every transaction. And so if you think about all of your potential customers, they have a trust bank. And if you make enough deposits in that trust bank, then when they're ready to make a decision on a purchase, you're most likely to be in the top consideration. And so sharing helps you do that, because if you share something and I see it and it is relevant to me and it's timely to me, then I now, you like get a little ticky mark. So next time you share something, I remember, well, last time I really enjoyed whatever this was that they shared, whether it was by them or someone else, and I'm going to interact with it. And so then that's the last one, is the interaction part. And that's as simple as just being human, right? So, social, so there's a Jay Baer's one of the popular social media guys, but one of his quotes is really cool. Is he says that don't try to be good at doing social media for business. Be social and let that help you grow your business. So just being human and interacting like you would normally. And I think that's one of the things that brands, bigger brands especially, but even some of the medium, small-sized brands are still figuring out how to scale, because how do you respond to everyone and interact with everyone. But I don't think that's necessarily have to be on there 24/7. But if you're showing there's interaction, it's not just you publishing stuff or retweeting stuff, but that there's some personal interaction there, that's how you cultivate community online, because that's what, people care about. You can ask anyone who's ever had a brand respond to them, and it's a big deal, because they're just used to having messages pushed to them. It's an interaction center. Okay, third is content. We good? Moving too fast? Everyone all right? All right, so how's content playing here? So content marketing is a fancy term that's come about in the last few years, but it's one of those things that's been around for, a couple hundred years, well, 100 years at least. So you had, Michelin came out with their travel guides back in the early 1900s, and, Betty Crocker's been making cookbooks for a long time. Those are all kind of content marketing pieces, and it just means it's not directly related to an ad or a pitch or an offer or a direct response. So content marketing could be anything from blogs and articles and white papers and podcasts and videos, and anyone else got some pieces of content? Ideas? Thoughts? Photos, podcasts, press releases, videos,
Infographics.
infographics, good one. What'd you say? Newsletters, fantastic. Even music. We're working with a client right now, and we're writing some songs for them, and we're putting a compilation together that's kind of, not produced by them, but it's really content for the community. And that's content marketing. Big reason for this, sorry about the cutoff again, but, there's a bunch of research that goes on, but right now, the average person consumes 10 pieces. Wow. I should have proofed this better. 10 pieces. Sorry about that. So 10 pieces of content before they make a purchase decision. So that's up double from last year, the last couple years. That's Google Zero Moment of Truth research. You can look into that. There's some great data there. But that's why you're hearing a lot about it, is because content is one of the ways that people are going to interact with your stuff. And different industries have different pieces of, or different content that works best. If you're working B2B and we this company it's a national company, and they handle hazardous waste materials. Not like waste management necessarily, but like stuff that can blow up and those type of things. And you would think, what type of content would no one cares. I mean, people read blogs in that industry, and blogs are not as important, but like long form things like case studies and white papers, they love that stuff. And so that stuff works really well for them. So we'll talk about, make sure I'm still on track here. Yeah. Okay. So here are my rules for content creation. 3 E's versus the 3 C's. You want to do a lot of the 3 E's. You want to educate, entertain, and encourage. Storytelling and education are the new selling tactics. So if your content educates, entertains, or encourages, I say that in most cases it's probably good to go. What I would encourage you to stay away from is the 3 C's. I talked a little bit about this last year. Criticizing, condemning, and complaining. It's an easy road. It's so easy to do that, especially online. Talking about Yelp. I mean, Yelp is one of those places where people do like to vent if they have a bad experience somewhere. Criticize, condemn, and complain. But you have to remember, from a business standpoint, everyone is either a potential customer or knows a potential customer. So you can take the high road in the long run. It's going to work out better. The last thing with content that I'll throw out there for when you're in the process of like doing content planning, or you're thinking about your business in the next quarter or the next year, and what are some of the concepts and ideas that we want to put out there to resonate with our community. We try to run everything through our internal process. It's become affectionately known as the Magnificent Seven. You remember that old movie, Yul Brynner, and it's been remade a couple times. But about it's based on the Seven Samurai old movie. So it's kind of Western, where these hired guys go into a town and they save them for people. So these 7 people were all like experts in individual things. But if you think about concept and content and producing something, a campaign, think about the Magnificent Seven. A 3-year-old speaks the other way. And when you're coming up with an idea, see if you can turn it into 7 different applications. That's kind of our goal. So back in the day, you would come up with an ad concept, and it was all about the rule of 3. Print, television, radio. Every concept, every campaign should be able to be applied to those 3 things, if at all possible. Well, now, I think with content and the flexibility we have, we look at the 7. So, you have an idea for a blog post or a series of blog posts. Okay, well, what else can we do with these? Can we turn this into a video, so an instructional video? Can we go interview someone about this? Well, we turn it into a podcast. We could shoot a video, record the audio, break it out, and now you've got a podcast and a video. So how can you use the content in multiple places, especially when you're trying to sell something to upper management? They want to know that something is going to impact some bottom line and how useful it can be. So there's the idea of utility and how else can you use the content to expand the reach, to reach new folks, to engage people at a different level. The other way around that too is, I grew up at the coast of North Carolina, so we have a sound between the mainland and the island, and our Outer Banks Island. And a lot of people do a lot of fishing using gill nets. Has anyone ever? No, probably not. So a gill net is this really long net, and you take it, you find a school of fish, you put a point in, and you would take this net, and you would make this huge loop, because you'd have like a 500-yard net. And if you're lucky, you had a boat, and if you weren't, you were the 12-year-old that got to do this. So you walk all the way around to your starting point, and you just corral this school of fish. And then you would jump into the middle of the thing, and you splash around, and all the fish would go into the net. And then you just pick them up and go have yourself fish fry. So I think about that online and creating is a very efficient way to catch fish. but I think about that online and just in general marketing of, you know, we have the audiences are fragmented. It's very few opportunities that you have to get everyone in the same room. Super Bowl, but most people don't have the budget for that. And it's, you know, more advertising. People want different, to be communicated with differently. So think about creating this kind of net of different touch points. You know, you've got blogs and social media and videos and all these different places where they can interact with your content. You're starting to corral them into a place where you have the ability to reach them multiple times. So that's content. I'll talk a little bit about mobile, kind of start bringing this home. So mobile is interesting. It's still the Wild West. It's still very much a try, fail, try, adjust, you know, do something, get a result, find it, do something else, get a result. But what I do want to talk about from a mobile standpoint is that think about it in a broader term, because I think we very much read a lot about mobile as far as like apps and things like that. But remember, mobile is not only web, but it's also text and it's also a phone. So just think about that from a mobile, when you're thinking of how mobile fits into this, you want to look at how can we take advantage of everything that that we have here. You know, especially if your demographic is younger, text message does way better on mobile than an app or some web mobile format. Does that make sense? So now, again, Americans spend on average over 2.5 hours on their mobile phones and tablets per day. That's the kind of stat most recently. And I've read one just recently that over 40% are engaging in multi-screen activities, which means they're watching TV and they're looking at their phone or tablet. Who does that? Yeah. So in this room, 90%. So this is important because we talk a lot about marketing being where people are. Well, this is kind of where they are. So we need to think about how search and content and social fit into this. So I think about it again, it's kind of my Goldilocks principle, if you notice. Sorry that you can't read that, but that says embrace of the offline world. Goldilocks principle rules of three. So 3 things are easy to remember. So first thing is think about experience. So mobile is a different experience than looking at it on desktop or something like that. We all know that. But some things to take into account there. Remember my diet here. Remember my notes. So is design, right? So you've got to have a format that looks good on a mobile phone. It doesn't have to be, and in most cases, you don't need a native app for your company. Unless you have something highly specific that you want your audience to do on a phone, or it's requiring some sort of, you know, heavy transaction or something like that. Usually something that's mobile optimized will work. Now that doesn't mean that you have to put your whole website in the mobile format. It may just be some sort of optimized landing pages that gives people what they want. So, you know, for example, I talked about mobile. We talk about mobile from a web standpoint, but mobile is still a phone. So you may want to have a phone number push to talk type interaction there. So you got to think about design and format. Quick side note, email is one of the things that I think is grossly under-optimized from a mobile standpoint. Not only do most people use email, but most people read it on their phones. My wife, I don't know if she doesn't use a computer unless she absolutely has to. It's all a mobile experience. So optimizing email is huge. But have to think about that from a formatting and design standpoint. You know, you don't think about this, but like when you're, and this is where like user experience comes in. So if this was a big, if this was a big screen on a mobile standpoint, where do you think the best place to put a button is? Bottom center? Close. So actually right here. So like Path, if anyone's ever used Path, people rave about Path's user experience because everything is so easy to get to. You can do everything in the Path app from the bottom right. So there's one button, you click it, then it kind of explodes out, and you can post pictures, check in, and do all that type of stuff. The Facebook mobile app on your phone is horrible, right? Everyone knows that. But think about that.
They just changed it.
Did they look? So think about that when you look at that phone. It is not thought through to the point of the formatting experience. The second thing from a design standpoint for mobile is speed. That's why when you do design something mobile, you got to make sure it's lightning fast, which means that you might not have every page on your website, you know, kind of in the mobile version. Does that make sense? All right, so that's experience. Brevity. So be brief and be brilliant. People aren't going to spend a whole lot of time, you know, messing around with their phone when you want them to do something online. So brevity is key. You know, it's a lot like outdoor, right? You've got a couple seconds for that person to experience what you want, deliver the content, and then have them act on it. Now, if it's like an article or something, the brevity is in how well it's served up and how easy it is to read. If it's difficult to read, I'm not going to stick around. And then the last one is embrace the offline world. And I think, if nothing else, mobile, this is a huge area on the mobile side, is you're typically using your mobile phone while doing other things in your life. And so the more you can kind of incorporate all the other factors of kind of the physical world with the mobile experience, the more mileage you're going to get out of it. For example, if you're at a live event or you're at a restaurant or something like that, you know, how does that tie in? Now, QR codes, you know, people have kind of a love-hate relationship with them. As a guy that really cares about design, even though I'm a designer or a graphic designer, QR codes get on my nerves because you can't like put them in something and make it look pretty. It just doesn't work. But if you think about it, that's one way that folks try to incorporate that offline world. So look at ways that you can incorporate your TV, because you know we already said 40% are multi-screening while watching TV or whatever. So in print, your print or collateral, you know, from brochures to tabletops to folders to any type of collateral you do, and even your outdoor. It's kind of neat. Sealy is a company in High Point. They make mattresses. So they have an app. Oh man, it just escaped me what it's called. Anyway, it allows you to take a picture of something that you're in your physical world, and it puts like a sleeping with or something kind of catchy caption on it. So they've kind of integrated the physical world that you're in with something that is a mobile experience. Does that make sense? Cool. And then in-store, obviously, Amazon is under a lot of fire because they're people are doing what's called showrooming, and it mainly means that people walk into a store, they see an item, they then go to their phone, and they see if they can find it cheaper somewhere. And Amazon has made that so easy to where their scanner, you scan an item and they'll tell you how cheap it is on Amazon. So they're basically turned every retail store into an Amazon retail store.
And they really scared Best Buy because Best Buy is matching the prices.
Yeah, Best Buy is really concerned,
Yeah.
as they should be. So that is another thing. I remember a few years ago, Diesel, which is a clothing line, they had in their in-store displays had a continuation to Facebook to where you could take a picture and like, a pair of jeans or shirt or shoes or whatever right there in the store that helped kind of you bookmark something you liked, but it also gave them kind of a social proof or social interaction as well. So that stuff is kind of neat. I've seen there's a box you can buy. It's a printer that links wirelessly, and you can have someone in the store at I've seen at concerts where you can take a picture and then you pick up your picture from Instagram off of the printer that integrates with Instagram. So there's some of the applications of how that is works. All right. So we're back on the diets. We got our 4 food groups here: search, social, mobile, and content. And now we think about how do these kind of fit together. And what we want to look at is kind of your data and your analytics and where your audience is and how they're using this to see and kind of what deficiencies you have. If you're really strong on the content side, then how do you use that to improve search and social? Because if you think about, if I only had time to focus on one thing in the beginning, I'd focus on content as a foundation. Just because if you think about social media as your husband's race car, right? So people think about the race car as this cool thing. It's fast and it's got this engine and all that stuff. Well, that's kind of what social media is. It's sexier, it's cooler, it goes fast, people love it. But if it didn't have like gasoline in it, it would just sit there. And so content is really the fuel for social. Or another analogy is content would be your fire and social would be your gasoline. If that makes sense. So social helps spread content, helps fuel and stoke content. Well, interestingly, search is more tied to content now. Remember that 0 moment of truth we talked about where it was 10 new pieces of content? So search engines are saying, we need to look at the content as well as and how people are interacting with it to decide whether it's good or not. And so that's why content fuels search, because blogs are so important because it allows you to build search optimization around key things. Something to think about in regards to content is every page is a homepage. Every page is a homepage. Because if I'm searching for a product of yours, I'm probably not going to land on your homepage. I'm going to land on that product page, or I'm going to land on a blog post about that product, or I'm going to be served up a YouTube video about an instructional video about that product. So content is super important here because it integrates with these. Search now looks at how many social shares as not quite links, but it's really important to search because search engines are getting better at saying, this article that you wrote has been shared 15, 50, 100 times. Therefore, it must be a better article and more relevant than this article that hasn't been shared. Does that make sense? So these 3 are super interdependent. And this is where some of your analytics and doing keyword research. Has anyone ever heard of keyword tool, Google's keyword tool? It's part of that AdWords platform, but you can use it for free. And you can do searches around potential keywords and long-tail keywords or alternate keywords for an item. So if you have amateur business, child development service. So whatever kind of key things are that your audience looks for, you could use that tool to type in that keyword and you can get other keywords that are matched or similar to that. Or you could then take those a keyword like that and say, well, wow, there's a lot of people searching for this that's related. I'm going to create some content that deals with that. So now when people search for that, as I mentioned, and then how does mobile kind of fit into all of this is, again, this is where people are doing these three things more and more and more. So, and I'm not the expert to get into all the details for search, but what we're seeing is that when you're on a desktop and you're searching for something, you are looking for every result to investigate. But when you're on a mobile phone, you don't want every result. You just want the best result. Does that make sense? So search is a little bit inverted depending on what screen. And so how people are optimizing mobile search. The other thing too with mobile is voice recognition, right? Who uses Siri? And who uses the Android one? What is that one called? Is it really? That's one Siri is one. I hear it's awesome. I hear it's really, really good. I mean, I'm an iPhone guy myself, but so how is that going to play into the search and experience in the future? Social, is your content shareable? But then also in the mobile experience, how easy is it to share your content? And do you want it shared into everything, or do you want it to share in one place? That's one of the things we've been experimenting a lot with is instead of giving people like all these options to share it in places, what if we restricted the number of places so that you could get more mileage out of the shares in that community? And then obviously we talk about content. There's kind of your snackable content, your long form content, and there's images and all these different things. So you want to look and see what types of content people want. And right now on mobile, images are way easier than trying to read an article. Alright. So the idea, though, is to have that balanced diet of search, social content, and mobile. And that's going to be completely dependent on your business and the interactions that your customers have based on the data that you capture. Again, that waste management, waste company is not, and social is not a huge factor for them. They need to have some, and how they do it might be more from a corporate responsibility standpoint, showing that there's people that work there. It's not just this company, right, that wears hazmat suits. There's people there. Anyway, so last thing. So how do all these fit? So when someone realizes they have a need, they are then going to discover. There's a discovery phase. Oh, I need this. Oh, I need stuff. Like, for example, we were driving recently, and have you all ever seen that app, Road Ninja? Ever heard of Road Ninja? Okay, so we were hungry. We had a need for food. So then the next thing is we need to discover what are options available. Go on Road Ninja, pull up nearest exits. Oh, look, there's an Applebee's and a couple exits. We'll stop there. Right. So,
Always.
always. So there's discovery, and that usually happens through, social media is a really good discovery medium. How many of you have heard about or discovered something new that you now own or have done something through social media, through Facebook or whatever? So it's a really good discovery medium. But then what happens? Investigation happens. We already said people can look at 10 pieces of content. So now when I'm aware of something, I don't go back to social to investigate it most of the time. I then go type it into my search engine and I look and see what comes up. So then comes this investigative standpoint. Or I may ask friends on social media for their recommendations. Hey, I'm looking for this. What do you guys use type thing? Okay? So the investigation. And that's where your content comes in, because when they're investigating, we want them to find your content, our content. Then we consume that content, right? So we then read it and we research it and we you know, just annihilate content. I mean, it's amazing how much stuff people look at. I mean, who now that the information is available when you're going to make a purchase, when you read reviews, you ask people, you look in multiple sources, you read articles, you do all that, right? So there's the investigations, the consumption side. And then you'll make a decision, right? On the investigation side, again, social comes back in a little bit from a customer service or retention standpoint. So we're seeing really good discovery and really good kind of customer service retention for social. Are we on this time? Okay. Right. And then we make a decision. And that's when we make our purchase. So those are kind of the 4 steps. I mean, there's multiple steps in there, but those are kind of the main ones. Any quick questions?
What do you consider to be bad?
Changes for every piece of content. But, you know, there's usually a social component